Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Nixxiom, and this episode of the Two Nerds podcast is sponsored by the great, the majestic, the amazing Nixxiom's Corner Store. Get all your exciting productual needs like shirts and mugs and jackets and anything you want, really. You just click on the design and you just get whatever you want. It's absolutely fantastic. Low prices. That's right. Crendor.
Oh, hey, hello.
What are you doing today? Tell us about your sponsor.
Oh, my sponsor, that would be Crensloth.com, a place where you can buy my sweatpants or a mug with a Crensloth on it.
Wow. Dude, it's so cool being like sponsored by ourselves instead of some like stupid company.
Yeah, except for the ones that sponsor me on my various other programs.
Yeah. Yeah, some smelly company, you know.
Yes.
No, man, the greatest
Except for
sponsor is
those.
yourself in life. You have to believe in yourself and your Crensloth pants.
Damn, that should be like your book. The greatest sponsor is yourself.
Yeah, dude, you got to believe in yourself and pay yourself and all that crap.
Yeah.
Dude, and speaking of like paying yourself, that's actually perfect. That was an unintentional segue, but paying yourself, being self-employed, being a YouTuber. Yeah. This was a suggestion in the previous Two Nerds podcast. Somebody left a comment. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name and I don't have it open right now. Please forgive me. But a commenter said, hey, why don't you guys talk about like, how you guys got into the YouTube scene? What is it like being like a YouTuber? The pros and cons of living the YouTuber life. Is it as glamorous and rich and fabulous as like the big guys make it sound like, or is it just kind of just a job?
Yeah.
So I figured maybe we could talk about that today. And since I did the intro, I figured, Crendor, you can do you can like start if you want to talk and just rabble a little bit.
All right. Well, this is kind of something I've like always brought up over the years, but I think it's another, I think it's a good time to talk about it again, especially now we're starting the new decade.
Yeah, dude.
So I'll tell my like intro story of how I got into YouTube, and then you can tell yours.
Yeah, sure.
So
Go back and forth.
I got into YouTube back in 2000 and I started YouTube in 2009 January. I remember I'd been watching YouTube videos for like a year or two at that point, but what really caught my interest was just a lot of like World of Warcraft machinima stuff at that time, and there were videos like from Oxhorn, some videos from Mindflame, like Illegal Danish, and then there's Rurikar, who is actually a good friend of mine now, which is kind of funny, but he was kind of like my inspiration because I saw his videos, which were Jimmy the World of Warcraft story, and Papitos, and he made Unforgotten Realms, which was like a little Flash series he made, and I love the humor in it. And he stopped making WoW videos to focus on his other project. And I remember there was no other type of video like that. And it inspired me to make my own videos like that because I wanted more of those types of videos. So I essentially started creating videos for myself because I was like, well, I want to see more of these. And if I want to see more of these, I'm sure there's other people that also want to see like more of these. So I was kind of doing it for myself and being like, hey, if anyone else wants to watch these, come on down and check them out. And I guess, at least a couple people enjoyed it. But yeah, that's kind of how I got my start in just doing YouTube, was just being a fan of videos and wanting to make my own videos, which I guess is how a lot of people just start in the, it's how a lot of people start anyway. Anything. You might be a fan of an author or like a director or whatever it is, or a musician, and it just makes you want to do your own style of whatever it is.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, I had a little bit of a similar intro. Like back in the day, like I was making movies and like short videos even as a little kid. Even like I used to make machinima before YouTube even existed. What I would do is I would play Halo or play Halo 2, and my parents had this massive like VHS camcorder, and I would put it on a bunch of books from my school on my bed, and I would just kind of zoom in the camera so it was zoomed in just perfectly on like the top player's screen that you couldn't like see the gun in like Halo 1. And I would just, do kind of like red versus blue, just recording my TV with a giant camcorder. And I'd make short videos like that. I'd do like stop motion videos with Star Wars miniatures and whatnot. And, making videos has always been like a passion of mine, and like telling stories. And back when I got into YouTube, I had, like in the very beginning, I had no ambition and no desire and no interest and no nothing in like people like seeing my content, or the idea of people seeing my content. I was just making videos for me, really. And my YouTube channel was just kind of like a throwaway video spot. I'd make something stupid, I'd put it on there, and I'd move along. I didn't do any research into like how to get a video seen, blah, blah, blah. I didn't care about that. However, that's how it was for a while. Then I stopped making videos for a time. And I remember I think I had somehow managed to, on the Nixxiom channel, or what is now the Nixxiom channel, at this point, somehow I had managed to get like 1,200 subscribers or like something like that. And I hadn't uploaded anything in years, but I remember I was dating a woman who lived over in Europe, and I was like, well, I need to make some side money, and I like making videos, so I'm going to work my job as a cashier, and I'm going to do YouTube on the side to just make some side money. You know what I mean? And even if it throws like an extra like $100 in the wallet like every month or something, great. Extra $50, great. It pays a bill, and it allows me to move forward into this like possible future of us living together one day, which would be expensive. So I started uploading videos more on the regular, started making machinima, started getting better at machinima. I established the Nixxiom character. I started collabing with Mookluk a lot. And the rest is history. Like, I just kind of became the machinima guy for the longest time. And eventually YouTube became my job and moved on to other things. And that's kind of how I got started. But I didn't want to go too much into like the details. But after you got started, Crendor, like how did things change as YouTube became more of like your job, I guess? Or like when did it become your job? Like at what point were you like, this is it, I'm doing it?
Yeah, I think it'd probably been, I want to say like a year and a half into it. When, let's see, how many videos had I made at that point? Let's see, going back, I've got my videos up right here. So I had Sham and WoW as my first one. It's a Hard Gnome Life, World of Warcraft 101. And I think my first one I started making money with was probably, I think about a year and a half into it. So I remember I really wanted to become a YouTube partner, but at that point they didn't accept gaming applications, which is kind of funny. Thinking back on it. And so, because there's a lot of copyright stuff with that, right? Like, they're like, oh, we don't want these people, trying to copyright Blizzard's games because we'll just get copyright struck, so we don't want gaming stuff. They only wanted, like, vloggers and people where it's hard to infringe on copyright. But Machinima came along, and they were like, hey, we'll pay you money if you upload to our YouTube channel, and we have all the copyright, contracts and whatever it is. So I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. The licenses is what I'm looking for. So I signed the contract. I was like 19 or 20. I don't remember. I think I was like 20. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome. I can't wait. And then you don't really read a contract at that point. You're just excited to make videos and have it be your job. I always say I was working at a grocery store for like 2 days, and then I quit, and I was like, I'm going to make money on the internet. And the security guy was like, that's the future. And I guess he was right.
Uh-huh.
So that happened, and then machinima, they paid me. I kept getting views. In a way, they actually did probably help me get some viewers and an audience and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
after a while, I wanted to leave them and go to the game station because I knew people like Total Biscuit and Jesse and Dodger and all them. And I was like, I want to go where my friends are now. So when's my contract end? And they were like, oh, it never ends. And I was like, okay. And that's when everyone started figuring that out. And they're like, this is illegal. And
Hmm.
so it became a fun process of trying to get them to release me. And then they finally did. So
Hmm.
that taught me a lot about contracts and just you get into this thinking like, oh, this can be a fun time, and I want to make some money doing what I love to do, or whatever. And then instantaneously there's somebody there waiting to be like, hey, here I am to fuck you over.
Yep.
Hey. So that was a fun introduction to YouTube.
I actually almost signed on with Machinima back in the day. However, you're slightly older than me, and when all right, so like, yeah, Machinima was in its heyday back in the day, and I had just released a video called Everyone is Crap. And machinima.com saw it, and they contacted me, and they said, wow, we saw your Everyone is Crap video, and we put it on the front page of the website, and people love it. Like, it's got so many views. It's got like 1,000. Whoa. Back when like 1,000 views was like a big deal, like on the internet,
Yeah.
back when you could like make a living off 1,000 views. Now you get like $1,
Yeah.
quite literally. So, but anyway, they contacted me and they said they wanted me to sign a script, or excuse me, sign a contract, not script.
Mhm.
And so I was so excited because when I was I was in high school at the time. And I loved making machinima, and I just loved making videos since I was a kid, like I said. And so, like, this idea of being able to, like, make videos in my free time while in school and making a little bit of money, I mean, what better job is there? I mean, that's so cool. And I was so hyped. So I printed out this contract. And the thing is because I was under the age of 18, I could not sign the contract without someone pretty much like my parents, like signing it. Someone over the age of 18. I think I was 17 at the time, if I'm not mistaken. So I remember I walked into the living room and I was talking to my dad. I chose to talk to him first. And I was so hyped. I was like, dude, Dad, like, let me explain this. And I started explaining, like, yeah, like, I've been making videos, like, that's what I do on my computer, like, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I've been offered this contract, and I'll be uploading videos, and they'll be paying me money, and yada, yada, yada. But I need you to sign it, to be, like, my co-signer, because I'm not over the age of 18. And my dad was not a fan. He thought it was stupid. He thought it was a waste of time. Working on the internet is not a real job in his opinion. He's like kind of like a traditional like blue collar like worker.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm not signing that. Like, that's stupid. Like, go do something real, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a bit disappointed by that, but I was like, well, I'll get Mom to sign it. It's fine. So later that evening, my dad wasn't home, and I went to my mom and I explained the whole thing to her. Blah, 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 and she was not a fan either. She was like, nah, this seems like a waste of time. Like, you shouldn't be on the computer. Like, computers aren't the way to make money. How you make money is you get like a good job, like a plumber, an electrician, something like that. Maybe you start your own business doing that stuff down the road, which is what my parents did back in the day. They made a popcorn business, like, popcorn on a ceiling. They used to own a business together doing that. And she was like, this is not a real job. And conveniently, my dad actually he came home during this conversation with my mom. And my dad flipped shit that I had like tried to get my mom to sign this contract, even though he had already said, no, like, I'm not signing that and you're not doing that. So I remember my dad snatched this contract and tore it up in front of me, and pretty much said, like, stop wasting your time with, like, some old bullshit. And that kind of sucked, to be honest, because it was my hobby to make videos and to write stories and all this stuff. So to be told that it was, like, fucking stupid and I was wasting my life, it kind of sucked. But I sort of persisted. I was a devil without a cause, you know, just like Kid Rock. And I kept making videos, and I'm sort of in a way, you might listen to that and hear it, and you might be like, wow, like Nixxiom, like, you know, how horrible. But not really, because as Crendor just explained, Machinima was a pretty scummy company.
Yeah.
You know, so my parents kind of being assholes to me kind of saved me a lot of ball ache down the road.
That's truther.
Yeah, so I kind of look at it like that. You know, it was like fate acted in my favor, even though at the moment I didn't realize it. I was just angry and upset. Because when I did eventually, like, start taking YouTube more seriously, I think YouTube had reached a point where, like anybody could just monetize anything. You can make a channel today and be like, oh, I have no subscribers, nothing, but turn on that monetization. Like, it's fine. And that's when I was like, yeah, like, I started making videos, and I remember, I don't fully remember, but I feel like I know for a fact this story changes every time, like this specific number, but I think the first month I ever did YouTube, I got paid, like 20 something cents at the end of the month. And I was so proud of that 20 whatever cents or however much it was.
Yeah.
It was not a lot. It was not even $0.25, I can tell you that. And I was so proud of it. And I remember telling my friend Ben that. And I was like, dude, Ben, like, look at this money I made, like, making, like, videos on the internet. And he thought it was stupid. He was like, oh, wow, like, why are you impressed with 20-something cents? And I was like, dude, because 20-something cents could become, like, $1, like, tomorrow. Like, you never know. And eventually it did, you know, it turned into $1, and then it turned into, like, I left my job working at a grocery store, just like Crendor, when I was making $300 a month off of YouTube. I was making more at the grocery store, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, like, not eat out, and I'm not going to buy anything, and this $300 will cover my bills, and blah, blah, blah. And that's when I decided to commit fully to the YouTube scene. That's my story. Yeah.
That's a pretty cool story. It's kind of funny because I had kind of an opposite situation. My parents were actually really supportive. They're like, hey, you know, if you want to do that or try it, like, go ahead, you know, just see what happens. Like, just, you know, just try it. And I was like, hey, I will. So I was lucky to have that type of supportive family behind me to the point where I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, like my family is really supportive now. I mean, I've quite literally had my mom and dad, like, say to me, thank you for not listening to us. Very awkward, you know, gotta swallow your pride kind of conversation that I've had with them. But yeah, you know, being a YouTuber, I've been able to, you know, through, you know, being self-employed, I've, you know, had months where I've made really good money, some months where you don't make jack nothing, but I've been able to save my money, and, you know, I have my little home, and I got my car paid off, and I've been able to travel to Europe a lot and go around the world, and I feel very blessed at the end of the day, despite any cons, but we'll talk about cons later. So
yes,
that's how I feel. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, honestly, I've enjoyed it, like, immensely. When people are always like, what else would you do? Like, I honestly don't know what I would have done if I didn't have YouTube. Like, that's what it was, and that's what happened, and I am extremely grateful that it happened, because I literally just don't know what I would have done. Like, I have no clue.
Did you ever get asked the question by chance, what will you do if, like, you get bored of doing this one day? Or what are you going to do if YouTube, like, loses popularity as a platform, you know, or you're just not making the money that you used to? What are you going to do? Did you ever think about that or have that question thrown at you? Because I did.
Well, I've I don't know if I've brought it up on this podcast, but I remember TB would always tell me to have at least 5 sources of income because that would get brought up. People would be like, "Oh, my YouTube channel's dying. What if YouTube this?" Blah blah blah. So he would be like, "You need at least 5 sources of income. So if one falls off, another one or all the other ones kind of help it out." And that goes for bad months too, right? Like people are like, "Oh, January's coming up," but
yep, January.
You know, when you when you have YouTube plus Twitch plus Patreon plus merchandise plus brand deals plus investing your money and stuff like that, and various other things, like little things like it could be like a affiliate link or something like that, or it might not be a lot, but it all adds up in the end. So just having all that gives you a nice I guess security blanket. That and podcast sponsors.
That's right, dude. Podcast sponsors like Crensloth.com.
Exactly.
And the Nixxiom Corner Store.
Yeah.
All linked below in the description. Check them out. Continue.
But thank you. But yeah, that's what I think about it. So really it's not even about focusing just on one thing. It's about just broadening your horizons from my point of view.
I honestly think, in my opinion here, in my professional YouTuber opinion, all right, if I was talking to someone and they threw that question at me, like, oh, like how, like, what if YouTube goes under tomorrow? What if a new website comes along that puts YouTube out of business? Or what if YouTube continues their BS policies of constant demonetization because you said the word like pussy in a video, or you called someone a pussy and that's can't say that, so your video's demonetized now. What if they get stricter and stricter? In my opinion, I sort of look at, if you're a YouTuber, you need to treat YouTube as like a stepping stone to greater investments. I think that YouTube and being a content creator is great, and if you play your cards right and you do your research and you learn how to market and you make $1, that's awesome. But let's be real, no one's probably going to watch your saggy ass when you're 60 years old. All right? So you need to, as fast as possible, in my opinion, take what you're making as an online content creator and you need to invest it. Starting small and working your way up. You need to get into the stock market. You need to get into real estate. That's something I would like to get into at some point. You need to keep your money moving from your entertainment business into an investing business. That way, if YouTube falls under, you'd have, like Crendor said, a sort of a safety net to fall back into, and that's your investments and your passive income through tenant rentals, rental income, dividends on the stock market, whatever. Otherwise, if you don't, if you have a moment, or if YouTube has a moment where it goes under and people ain't watching YouTube anymore, they're on this new website, so you got to start all over and you're making pennies per month all over again, and maybe your Twitch goes under or your Patreon isn't doing as good as it used to, at least you have these investments that can sort of be a safety net for you, and they can continue to grow as you make more from them, if all that makes sense.
Yeah, I think investing is definitely a really smart thing to do, or even just learn about, even if you only want to do small investing.
Yeah, I think, first of all, even if you're working some normal job, if you're working at the grocery store, you're a construction worker like my dad, obviously you want to invest. You must. It's not a oh, maybe I should do. No, you must. That. We could talk about the American gold standard for a while here. I could go on a big rant about why you must invest because of the fact that the American economy or the American dollar is a currency now, not backed by anything, because we are no longer on a gold standard. So we are in an investment-based economy. So you must invest. Otherwise, inflation will always beat you every single year the longer you keep money in your bank. We could talk about that all day. Let me tell you guys, I've read some books. All right, when you're self-employed, one of the first steps you got to do is you got to learn about how money works, and you got to learn how to make it work. Okay? Because when you're self-employed, you don't got a steady paycheck. 1 month you make $200. Oh wow, this is fucking terrible. Next month you make like $20,000. You're like, oh wow, this is amazing. But there's nothing guaranteed, so you got to make something guaranteed. And having good investments, and that can be your good guaranteed. So invest no matter what position you're in. But if you are self-employed, whether you're a YouTuber, an author, or anything, my God, please, like this like needs to be your topmost priority. And if it's not, I think you're gonna get bit in the ass down the road, in my opinion. And that's my rant.
I mean, we could have an episode about investing as well.
But we could. Yeah. Investing is kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. Sorry if I get a little too technical or in depth.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, passion. It reminded me actually that YouTube isn't just I make a video and then that's it. If you want it to be something like, a job or a career, it's a lot of it is just marketing.
Oh yeah.
But is what it boils down to. So like when I first got into YouTube as well, I was still going to community college, and I remember I would like be sitting in my community college class just writing scripts. Like I didn't care. I was like, I'm gonna be doing this YouTube thing. I don't even care. This is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember one time I skipped class, and I went to the bookstore, and I literally just read marketing books from the bookstore, and I learned like vastly more than I did in my actual marketing class in school. And I was like, why am I even doing this? Like, I could just go to the bookstore or the library and just learn all this for free.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I need a degree in it. I just need to learn the information to help me get my videos out there. And I actually found an old tweet from like 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is crazy. I learned that titling my videos things like unreleased Cataclysm trailer and thing is wow does wow have bad graphics get a lot more views. Mm-hmm. So I learned that like 10 years ago from like a marketing book, and now obviously that's it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. But that was more of an old media thing. Mm-hmm. Back then. It hadn't really been applied to new media yet, where magazines would be like losing weight the right way, how Princess Jasmine loses 80 pounds a week, mm-hmm. or some shit like that. So mm-hmm. I mean there's a difference, I think, too, between clickbaiting and just blatantly lying about what the video is. Like when I say unreleased Cataclysm trailer, I literally made a Cataclysm trailer that was unreleased. I wasn't lying to you.
Yeah.
It's not what you expected, but it's not lying. And I think that's kind of where it borders on clickbait. I mean, there's always a fine line with clickbaiting type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're actually stepping into one of my favorite cons as being like a YouTuber and a content creator that we all have to deal with. As a content creator, your videos, even if you have the most non-clickbaity titles in the world, people are going to accuse you of using clickbait. Like, even if you've made one video called My Cat Fred, people are going to say, what a clickbait video. Like, you're going to get at least one comment that says that. Number two, as soon as you have more than 100 subscribers on YouTube, you are a sellout. Own it. That is what you are. Even if you've never done it before, you've never had a company approach you and say, hey, here's $1,000, play our shitty game, and lie to people and tell them that they're good when it's not. You're a sellout. Just own it 100%. For me personally, like, and also like for you, well, actually, I don't know, Crendor, but I'm 99.9% sure. Like, I have never sold out. I have never had a company approach me and say, play our shitty game and tell people it's good. Every time I've done a contract, and I haven't done that many. I mean, it's a relatively new thing for me. I've done like maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6. Like, it's been like a game that I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, or I've played this game and this is a cool fucking game. So sure, like, I'll make a video on it. I'll talk about it. And it's something I actually genuinely enjoyed. And that's something else you're going to find. Like, most people don't even know the definition of clickbait or sellout. They just think like sellout means you're making money on the internet. So you're a sellout. Like, all right. Like if I said to you, like, for example, like when we say, hey, you want to support us? Like, check out like Crendor's sweatpants or t-shirts. They'll be like, oh, that's selling out. No, it's not. It's promoting merchandise. Like we're not being paid to do it, you know? But whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever. So
yeah, well,
that's a con.
It's well, yeah, that's definitely a con. I mean, some people do sell out more than others as well, and you can usually tell. I mean, sometimes, you know, if like a dealer, sometimes if if there's like a deal that's like insanely good, you know, maybe you take that. But as long as you don't make it a constant, I think is the biggest thing. Because once you start doing that, then you tarnish your brand essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, this episode was sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Pretty sure you guys have seen those everywhere. It's like every YouTube video these days like has a Raid Shadow Legends like sponsorship in it.
Yeah.
Where's my sponsorship? Raid Shadow Legends? Yeah. No, I don't do like mobile games, so they wouldn't get very far with me.
I've done like, I can count on one hand how many mobile games I've done, and it's always the same. And I'm always like, "Hey guys, it's a game
on your phone."
And I look at chat; they're just like, "Get that money, Crendor." Like, there we go. Playing this game is fun. Yay!
Dude, my favorites were the oh my gosh. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna talk about it. I'm sorry, Twitch bounties, where you have to watch like the ad on Twitch. You know what I mean? Yeah, like they give you like random ads and like, oh, play this on your stream and then share your thoughts. And it's like it'll be like a 10-second video of like a dude running, like and then it's just like epic shoes. And then you're just like, yep, those are some nice shoes. Like what can you say? Like those were real nice. That guy ran real good. So those were always fun to do. But sometimes you get like cool ones. Like you'd be like, oh, like this store. Like, oh, like Dick's Sporting Goods. I go there all the time. Like I love Dick's Sporting Goods. You know, it's fine. Yeah. So I mean, you can have fun even with like a sponsorship. You know, just dick around and it's fun. And you can make it fun for the audience too.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
It's all about having fun.
Yeah. What are some other cons to like being a YouTuber? What's your biggest con? Like, what do you hate the most, if anything?
Well, there's always pros and cons to I think everything.
Yeah.
In life, and I think some of the cons of being a YouTuber would probably be,
biggest one.
Biggest one.
Your biggest one. Biggest con.
My biggest one is probably the fact that you always feel like you need to work.
Yeah. That's that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you work a normal job, you're like, you know, I did my 9 to 5, get off. Hey, you know, I don't gotta go back. And although, you know, you're like, oh, well, you know, you're always working, but you're having fun doing your work. And it's true. Like I do enjoy making videos and streaming games and doing all that. It does wear on you after a while where it's like, even if you're trying to relax, you're just like, I mean, I could just, you know, make a video. I could just stream for an hour or two. I could just do this. And it's always just kind of gnawing in the back of your head.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's probably one of the biggest cons about it. Although, you know, I'd gladly take that over losing my mind at like a boring job or something.
Yeah. It's I would say it's my biggest con as well. Like the job never ends. And I mean, you might, if I try to put it in perspective for like someone that's not a content creator or self-employed, think of something that you're really passionate about. Painting, drawing, you know, whatever. But like, imagine if like you had to do that every single day, and like there was an audience of people that were watching you do it. Like,
yeah,
and
I
like
think
like
one of
every
the big
day.
issues with it is like at first it's always the easiest thing, right? Like at first you're like, oh, I got so many ideas, I got so many things, and you do all those, and then you're like, all right, well, I got some more ideas, and you keep doing it, and then, you know, maybe you run out of ideas, but then you have a brainstorming session, you get a few more, and you're like, all right, you know, I'll do this, and you know, I'll try to rejuvenate myself, and then eventually you kind of just burn out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's when people start being like, I want to mix up my channel, guys. Like, I want to do this. I want to try something else. And everyone's like, why do you want to do that? And then you're like, that's true. I can't do that. And then you burn yourself out even more because you start forcing yourself to do it because you're like, this is what the people want. This is what makes money. I got to make money. I got to do what people want. And then you just, after a while, you hit a point where you're like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. I'm just going to do what I want.
Yep. That's it. That is the path of the YouTuber. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah. You got all these ideas, you know, you get more ideas, you brainstorm with your friends, with your community, like whatever, you get some more ideas, and eventually coming up with a new idea for like your niche on your channel is like, I don't know, like what do I do? Like it's hard. Like what do I talk about? What do I do?
Yeah.
And then you ultimately, like as a content creator, you're seeing that your content and the crap that you're producing is not up to par with what you originally produced because that stuff was fresh and imaginative and you were super passionate about it. This new stuff is forced. And then you're kind of thrust into that position where you're like, well, I could start, you know, creating new kinds of content on my channel, but people didn't subscribe for that. You know, like if I had a hunting channel and well, I'm going to show people that I really enjoy reading, and I'm going to talk about books. But people didn't subscribe for books. They subscribed for hunting. So now what do? Like, you just start over? You make a new channel all about reading? Do you just deal with the fact that your people are going to leave your channel in a mass exodus because you changed it to a reading channel? And it gets kind of stressful on your mind. So... And eventually, yeah, you could just get to a point where you just don't care anymore. You're just like, you know what? I'm just going to upload whatever I want. It's my channel. You know, if there's an exodus, if I lose money, like whatever, I'll just have to find money from somewhere else. So it's not always, it gets a little complicated. It's easy at first, like Crendor said, but it gets a little complicated down the road when the ideas start running out.
Yeah, that's always the biggest issue. I mean, you'll see it literally everywhere. You see it in machinima. You see it with, you know, music. People, artists, you're like, oh, I like your old stuff because they get burned out. They change to something else. You see it with streaming. You see it. I mean, it's literally everything. It's the way the human mind functions. It can't keep doing the same thing over and over. We're not meant to do the same thing over and over if we want to like grow as a person. Because that's how you stagnate.
Yeah, that's why in the previous podcast we talked about creating like different YouTube channels for the Crendor brand, the Nixxiom brand, like. Crendor loves ASMR, all right? Like, as you do. And
yes,
now you have an ASMR channel where you can upload ASMR stuff and blah, blah, blah. If you were to upload that on the main Crendor channel, people would be like, oh, it's this crap. You have a Warhammer channel. You have your main channel for your gaming content. I have my main channel for gaming. I have Nixxiom Unleashed for silly and, like, over-the-top top 10s that have nothing to do with gaming. I have Nixxiom IRL for my IRL stuff. Then we have this channel. And it's sort of like the cool thing, at least in my opinion, is now you don't have to feel bad if you upload something on that original channel that doesn't really fall within that original niche. And if you want to, for example, I talk about this in one of my videos I'm currently working on. If I want to, for example, make a cigar review, which I love doing. I mean, I love smoking cigars. I can now upload it on my IRL channel, but that video would never belong on the Nixxiom channel. So it feels very like liberating. So I would recommend if any of you guys get into that point where you're running out of ideas, maybe kind of sucks, but make some more channels and start building them up. That's fun.
Yeah. And I brought this up. I brought this up last time. I don't remember, but
I'll let you know.
Creating new channels at first, it's like you feel like, oh, I'm splitting up my main channel where everybody goes to, like this is a bad business decision or whatever. But now you start realizing like, hey, when I upload something, people are gonna get what they expected. Yeah. And that's, I think, a pretty important thing is like, if I sub to Nixxiom, I expect Nixxiom machinimas and Nixxiom style videos, whatever. When you upload a thing like, here's a cigar review or like, here's my Amazon drone thing or whatever, I'm like, what the shit's this?
Yeah.
So if you're like, hey, I'm going to create another channel for that type of stuff, then you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll sub to that because I do care about it. And the people that don't care about it can just keep watching your main stuff.
Exactly. It's definitely, if there's one thing I can say about being a YouTuber, I was thinking about this right when we started talking about it, and we were talking about the YouTuber life. In my opinion, I think if you're going to be self-employed, a YouTuber, an author, anything, or a business owner of any kind, you have to be someone that can think in the long run. Like, if you are just an in-the-moment sort of person, you can't do it. Because, first of all, like if I use the channels as an example, and then I'll hit you guys with the big example. With the channels, like, yeah, if I like Nixxiom IRL, that's a brand new channel. It doesn't even have 1,000 subs yet or anything. If I make a video for that channel, I get paid nothing for it. It's not monetized in any way, shape, or form. But down the road, as the channel grows, eventually it can be monetized, and we'll see what it can turn into. So it's a long-term investment of time and effort and energy. Same with Nixxiom Unleashed, the Crendor ASMR channel, like whatever. Pretty sure your ASMR channel is over 1,000 subs, right? I didn't check.
Yeah, it's actually
like 10,000, right?
Decent amount. Yeah, I think it might be 10,000. Good night, Crendor.
Yeah, like
I made it a while back.
What about your Warhammer channel?
It's at 10.8K. Yeah.
Yeah.
My Warhammer channel is almost at 700, which honestly isn't bad for making it like a week ago.
Yeah. So like, so you're in the same boat that I am. Like the Warhammer channel, it's not monetized right now. But like down the road, it will be, and then you can just like kind of like appeal to all those Warhammer fans, and then hey, now you're making $1 each month, making Warhammer content, which is something that you're passionate about, and you're sharing it with people who are also passionate about it. And that's how you got to think. But the big one, I think you'll agree with me on this, the big reason why you got to be a long-term thinker and you got to be a bit self-disciplined, taxes.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
That is very true.
Oh, yeah. You got to know how to save your money. You better not be a big spender, because here's the thing, guys. Like, you guys might be working, a regular job. Maybe you're, I don't know, working at the grocery store. And you look forward to, the tax season because you get that tax return and the government gives you money. Yeah, I got a $2,000 check from the feds. It's so cool. We give money to the feds.
Yeah.
We pay them. Here you go. Like, here's $20,000 that you have to sign over in a check, or however much you got to get. Here's $60,000. However much they ask for, you pay it. Or you can split it up into, I think you do this. I don't. I pay it all at once, and I think, Crendor, you pay it quarterly, right?
Yeah, I pay quarterly, and I partially do. I think I have to pay quarterly if you make over a certain amount.
Okay.
And then I also think it's just easier to manage that way, because when you go every 3 months, you're like, hey, this is what I made. And then you figure out what you owe. And so you're like, okay, I know that. And you it's called estimated taxes, because you estimate what you think you're going to owe for 4 quarters. And then when actual tax season hits, you kind of see if you're correct or not. And so if you overpaid, you get money back. If you underpaid, you pay towards it. And so it just makes it really easy.
Yeah. For me personally, I just like playing. I like paying it all at once, but I'm pretty good at like saving money, because all I really want are cigars and to read books. Like, I'm pretty simple, and I just like making videos, so I don't really spend that much money each month, unless it's on something like unless I get really excited about like, ooh, I gotta get that new camera, because I can use that to make a cooler video. So I just save up, and then by like, the time tax season comes around, my bank account is like swollen, and then I'll just be like, and then they just ask me for however much they ask me for, and then I look at my bank account again and it's empty, and I'm just like, oh. And then I just start inflating it again, for next year. But whatever, it's cool, especially when you do like the it's weird because, I remember like getting checks from the government and being so hyped about it. But like now it's sort of like flipped, where it's like, let me just grab random numbers. Like your tax guy will be like, okay, you owe or like you think you're going to owe a random number, like you're going to owe $15,000. But then tax guy says, hey, okay, I ran the numbers. You owe $12,000, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I only have to pay $12,000. Yeah. And then you really think about it, and you're like, oh my God, I just paid $12,000. I could have bought a car with that. You know?
Well, that's the other thing is write-off. Like, you always need to keep track of what you spend on your business, whether it's microphones or computer monitors or, you know, whatever it might be. And then just writing that off on your taxes as a business expense, because they pretty much want you to write off things because they give you a self-employment tax, pretty much knowing that you're going to write off things. So they tax you more so that you write off stuff, which is kind of weird.
You did. I mean, I highly recommend, like, there are books out there you can get at your local bookstore about like tax law. And it doesn't matter, like any country that you guys are from, this probably applies. Like doing write-offs if you're self-employed. You can write off a lot of stuff, even things that you don't think about. Like, I remember it was 2 years ago, maybe it was last year, I don't remember. But I was talking to like this new tax guy that I got, who I love this dude. He's my mom's friend. And I remember one of the questions that he asked me, he was like, oh, so when you're working on like your Nixxiom stuff, do you like go out to eat a lot? And I was like, yeah, like I'll go out to Chipotle or like, you know, wherever, you know, I'll go get like maybe a milkshake or something every now and then. He's like, all right, well, how much like on average per day would you say that you spend like blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, all right. And so I told him, and then we started looking at some like checks and credit card history and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I mean, you can even write off your meals, like your lunches and stuff. Cause it's like, I'm having lunch at work, which is in my house. So it's a work expense. You can write off your office space in your house.
Yeah.
Like there's so much you can write off when you drive your car. If you're driving for business, you can write off those gas bills. You know?
Yeah, it's like, as long as you're technically correct about something, that's like, that's the most primary thing. As long as you be like, if they, you know, come for you and be like, hey, you know, did you really do this thing? You'd be like, oh, here's me streaming my bag of Doritos that I wrote off on my taxes. And they're like, all right, well, you know, he streamed the Dorito bag. He made money off it.
Yeah.
So it's like, as long as you're technically correct about these things, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And keep records of it. The other important thing.
Yeah, keep records. Otherwise, like, I don't remember who it was, but I remember like a year or two ago, I think me and you were talking about this, and there was some YouTuber or someone, they would write off everything. And I think they got audited or whatever, or they just got investigated. And they just, like anything they purchased, a new pair of shoes, like lipstick, hairspray, anything, they would just write it off. Just like, oh, business, business, business. And they got hit hard by the feds. So don't do that.
Dang. Yeah.
But, you know, make sure it's
like,
legit.
You know, they're gonna know if it's like that. Like, trust me, you know, they want their money as much as you want your money.
Oh yeah. Uncle Sam needs his cut.
Yeah.
You know, like, dude, I actually, fun fact, I paid my taxes, and the government sent me a letter about 2 months later. And they were like, Mr. Nixxiom, you're in trouble. You didn't pay enough money to us. We investigated you. And I was like, oh no. So I opened up this letter. I might have told this story. Have you heard this story?
I don't think so.
All right. So I open up this letter. I am terrified because it's a new tax guy. He's telling me all this new stuff, blah, blah. So I'm like, oh no, they're going to ask me for like thousands of dollars. Like, who knows? I open it up. Hands are sweaty. Knees are weak. Palms are heavy. You know, all that stuff, whatever. And it's like, Mr. Nixxiom, you owe $68. And I was like, oh, shit. So I wrote the government a check for $68. I was like, here you go. And they've never talked to me since. So, tax season is coming up, so I'll be sure to hopefully not have that happen again. I miss my $68.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
It must have ruined your entire year.
It did. I could have bought a video game and a Chipotle burrito with that money. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you know how to save, like, you'll be fine. Just be disciplined and don't spend ludicrously. Just remember that essentially make a rule for yourself that any dollar that you make, subtract 32% of that, and that's what you made.
Yeah.
Follow that 32% rule and keep that in mind when you look at your money, and you'll be fine. And that can be hard for some people, let's be real.
Yeah.
So, any other cons or like great pros? Well, we're talking about cons. I want to talk about some pros real fast in the last 15 minutes of this episode.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Hit me with a pro.
Well, obviously, one of the pros is this is what I love to do. So I mean, I get to do something that I love to do, which is something that everybody kind of wishes they had, at some point in their life.
Yeah.
But I'd say in terms of like actual pros aside from that would be you get to make your own schedule.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. I can wake up when I want, go to bed when I want. I don't have to answer to anybody being like, you better come into work. Jimmy's sick today. Be like, shit, I got to go to work. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling great today. I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can you work from home, which is great because, you look outside, it's snowing out, and you're like, well, you know what? I'm not going to go anywhere today.
Yeah.
And really the only thing you're tied to is just your internet. As long as your internet's working, you're good to go. And even then, if it goes down, as long as you have like some footage or video editing stuff, you can do work offline, or you can, sit and plan out videos or streams or ideas for future stuff. So, I mean, it's not all like time is wasted or anything, but yeah, I'd say those are probably the two of the biggest benefits to doing this.
I would say about a few days ago, I was staying at my mother's house, and I was watching over my grandma while my mom and her husband were away. And at one point, I went to a park near my mom's house, and I used to go to this park all the time to like go mountain biking. In fact, if you were to go to like my Nixxiom IRL channel, which none of you will do, but if you were and you were to look back at some of those old vlogs, you'll see there's like episodes of this park with this big lake in the center of it. I went to that park for the first time in a long time, and I found this trail that I never had hiked before, and it went around the perimeter of the lake on this one side that I didn't even know there was a trail there. So I'm hiking this little like trail that clearly people haven't hiked in a while. It's covered in leaves, so you can barely see it. I'm just making my way along the lake. I got my backpack on, and in my backpack I have a laptop, I've got a book, and I find this spot, and it's like this tree has grown like straight up, but it's also like grown out like perpendicular to the ground, and then it goes up again. It's like this perfectly level bench, just like you could sit like 8 people on it. It was amazing. And I was like, dude, this place is awesome. And I didn't take a picture of it or anything, but it was right next to the water. And so I sat down and I started smoking a cigar, as I do. And I was reading this book. It's a book about self-discipline and whatnot, and how to always improve it. You should always be trying to improve your self-discipline, guys. Guy, gal, it doesn't matter. It's a good skill to keep developing throughout your entire life. Stay motivated. I'm reading this book, and then eventually I took out my laptop out of my backpack and I started working on some scripts for some new Nixxiom videos, and that's my job. And let me tell you something, like, I love being able, like, hey, YouTube, when you get the hate comments and the negativity, and when people slander you and make up stuff about you and all that crap, or whatever it is that YouTubers or content creators or entertainers deal with, I mean, it sucks, yeah, but when you're able to like sit by a lake and smoke a cigar and work on some scripts and like read a book or whatever, and like that's your job, you're just kind of like, you know what? I think I can deal with it. So, yeah, that's my story.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I always compared it to like being in a professional sport, if that makes sense. Like, it's not the most common thing. Not many people get to do it, especially, years ago. I guess it's becoming more popular and prevalent now, and more well known. But I always compared it to being like in Major League Baseball or something, or like the NFL or whatever. Like, maybe I'm not, a star quarterback. I'm not like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or someone, but you know what? I can be like a Tremont Williams, who's like 38 years old, playing corner for like his 14th year or something, getting injured every other week. But you know what? I'm still doing it, and I still know a lot of people in it. I'm still making plays out there occasionally. And that's I don't really want to ever become like a super famous person, or obviously I don't want to become unknown, but
Yeah.
I always like just kind of being right in the middle, because I think it's I don't know, it's as somebody who also has anxiety, I would never want what comes with being such a large entertainer, I guess you'd say, or personality.
Mm-hmm. I like how you just like suddenly shifted into like football jargon. I'm like, what the heck? What is he talking about? I'll hit you with the cigar jargon. All right. I'll have you know, Crendor, that when I was sitting on that log, you know what I was smoking?
What?
A My Father Connecticut. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's an interesting name, yes.
Yeah. Very mild cigar. Great draw. Not the best aroma. I admit I was not a fan. I smoked it for the very first time. I like full body cigars. So really fucking strong cigars. The things that'll make you sick if you're not careful. My favorite cigar right now, you know what that is, Crendor?
What?
The Punch Diablo. If we hang out, I will give you a Punch Diablo. And I will say, smoke this real fucking slow. Here's your sugar packet in case you get cigar high. Just chug the sugar. It'll help. And, or cigar sick, excuse me. Not high. You want to get high. Sort of. Yeah. You want to get zen. You know? But I'll be like, just smoke this real slow. And you'll be like, woo! It's very peppery. You'll love it. I'll also hit you with a Jacob's Ladder brimstone one day. Doesn't that sound exciting?
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for climbing Jacob's Ladder.
That's right, dude.
Up into the clouds, man.
Yeah, dude. Crendor has his things that he likes, and I have my things that I like. How's your this is sort of, I mean, how's your football like podcast channel going?
Oh, that's doing great too. It's just progressively been getting more and more popular. When we started, we'd only get a couple hundred viewers, but we didn't care because we were just talking about football. It's all we cared about. Now it's like, I think we're over 2,000 subscribers now. Like we get over, God, how many are we? Hold on. 3.
Check it out.
3 guys talk about football. What a name.
Yeah.
We're at 1.5K subs, and
Nice.
we get on average 2,000 views an episode. So we actually get more views than we have subscribers, which I mean, it's always a good sign.
Dude, that's exactly what you want. Like, it's like, that's a super healthy YouTube channel.
Yeah. And I mean, this is literally just like a hobby channel. Like we do this if like 20 people are listening. Like we don't give a shit. We're just having a good time talking about football and having a place to rant for it.
Speaking of which, me and you actually need to, I mean, I think you said you casually dropped it in a video. Or no, that was the Warhammer channel. Excuse me. We actually need to advertise this channel on our main channels.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Because I actually have had somebody ask me on my Discord even recently. They were like, what happened to the Nixxiom and Crendor podcast episodes? So
that's right.
Because most people don't know. So maybe like we could make it like a small goal, because I know you are going to Disneyland this Wednesday.
I am indeed,
yeah,
and I'll be back on Saturday.
That's right. So this spoiled brat is getting to go to Disneyland. He's leaving me behind. He didn't even invite me. Can you believe that, guys?
Unbelievable.
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 Yeah, but yeah, maybe we can make it a goal that like maybe by like the end of next week we can, you'll have some more Warhammer content out, some more, comfy Crendorness, ASMRness, and we can make a video saying, hey, check out our channels. And we can get some people on here so they know where to go.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we could talk about it more like off podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Overall, want to give like your conclusions on the YouTuber life in the last like 5-ish minutes of this podcast episode?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right.
So just kind of like a wrap up of like my entire YouTube
yeah, what do you think?
I think I'm glad that I got into this. I think it's great because it kind of really just shaped my life, and so it's honestly probably the biggest thing that happened to me next to like World of Warcraft, ironically.
Yep.
And they kind of coincide with each other. So
Hmm.
I would say it's probably the best thing that could have happened in my life, and I'm just excited moving forward with Twitch and merchandise and writing and podcasting and all that stuff. I enjoy kind of branching out into all these different avenues that I can explore.
All right. Is that your conclusion?
Yeah.
All right. I would say mine is pretty similar. I think that as a YouTuber, there are first of all, it's a huge subject, the YouTuber life. I mean, honestly, I could talk about stories from being a YouTuber and the good and the bad like all day, because I've been doing it for years and you've been doing it for years. I would say that like for every con that you will experience if you really get into the content creator, self-employed, whatever life, I would say there's going to be like, if you really sit and think about it, like really pause for a moment and slow down and think, like there's always like 10 or more pros. Just like any job, some days, hey man, it sucks. There are cons. It sucks. But if you humble yourself for half a second, you'll remember like, hey, it's nice. And I really think that any job where you are doing something that you're passionate about, whatever that might be, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be days that suck, but you're doing the job that you love, and that's what matters. For me personally, I really enjoy making videos, and I really enjoy entertaining people. I'm not as much of a streamer as you are. I did stream for a while. I've been taking a break. I haven't streamed that much recently. But what I do like doing is I really love interacting with the community, and I really like miss my audience. So I might actually get back into Twitch streaming here pretty soon. I would like to. It's just a matter of time. I just made all these new Nixxiom channels, and here I am like, let's stream now. Let's cut into the day with like several hours of streaming. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think that this is definitely, I think this would be a good way to wrap this up. This is a huge subject, and I'm sure that you guys that are listening to this might have questions about anything from the taxes to, I don't know, like how does being a YouTuber affect your relationship or your relationship to your friends who have, maybe like a more like regular, like traditional job, like or anything. I'm sure you guys might have questions about this, that, or whatever. So maybe down the road we could make a follow-up podcast to this one and just go into a bit more detail on some of the things that you guys bring up in the comment section below, because we are paying attention to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea as well, because I mean we can go into detail about like any aspect of YouTube and Twitch or whatever. Like we've been doing it long enough.
Yeah, we could even like talk about some of the trade secrets of how to make more as a YouTuber. We could like reveal some of our dark secrets that only like the inner YouTube clan knows.
Top 10 secrets you didn't know about how to be a YouTuber.
Top 10 secrets. Yes, top 10s do well. They don't do as well as they used to, but they still are they're cool, and they're fun to make. They're fun, they're simple, and they're catchy. People like them. Top 10 secrets. Yeah, it's true. All right, though. Yep, I think that's pretty much it. This has been going on for about an hour and 3 minutes. This is a good place to wrap up. I just did my little conclusion, so guys, I'll see you later. It's been Nixxiom here. Been great talking to you guys. We'll be back next Monday at noon, and I will let Crendor wrap this up with whatever he wants to say in the final word.
Please subscribe and buy my merchandise. That's all I ask. And his and
Yeah.
and hey, thanks.
Yeah.
See you.